You just talked about chapbooks. Noah's telling me the project could be 25 pages, could be 60 pages. So we've kind of narrowed down, I think, to about 25 to 30 poems, or pages, I should say, not necessarily poems. No, how long are your poems usually?
I put a call out to poets to try to create some sort of poetry offer with them.
In only 2 weeks.
Not all the conversations are here, but I tried to pick out some salient moments for you. So, in case you're trying to create your own poetry offer, these are the sorts of things that you want to be thinking about. Let's take a look.
No, how long are your poems usually?
They're usually not much more than a page at
Okay.
max.
Okay. So if we're aiming for about a 20 to 25 page collection potentially, then we're probably looking at about 17 poems, 15, 17, 20. 20 might be pushing it. Something like that. Does that sound fair?
Sure. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. The beautiful thing about chapbook is you can always make more chapbooks, by the way.
Yes.
It's not like we just
Yeah, because right now the draft I have has like, let's just say about like 60 pages worth of stuff.
Cool. Okay, great, great, great. So much easier to pare down than to pare up. Can you pare it down to uh I don't know. Can you pare it down to about 30 pages? And then we'll
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think, yeah, that's doable.
okay. How much time do you think you can dedicate to working on paring down per day? Do you think you could do 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Do you think you could do 10 minutes? Do you think
Like
you
I
could do a
could
half hour?
probably, yeah, like I could probably do like 30 minutes at least on average, if
All right.
maybe an hour if I'm,
Okay.
because tomorrow afternoon and evening, sorry for interrupting
Hmm.
you right there,
Yeah.
but
Okay. If that's the case, I would really, again, our time frame is very fast, guys. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a lot of time. It's not a lot of time, right? Um, the more you can get done, because this is the biggest roadblock for you right now. It's going to be hard to do anything else if we don't have the actual things. Okay, so my challenge for you, I would really like you to have the 30 pages for us. Today is Tuesday, Thursday.
you know
Can you have
what?
it?
Consider
Can
that
you,
done.
okay, so our deadline, first action item for Noah is he's going to have 30 pages for us by Thursday, and then we're going to work with that. So my plan is ideally by Monday, I would like Noah, through conversations with us, to have an idea what of those 30 poems we're going to keep and what we're not going to keep. Okay. To make this a little bit easier, so right, I'm going to go in on Noah right now, and then Sierra will talk about you. Okay. Um, how are you organizing this chapbook, Noah? Is there a central theme, or is this like a best of the best?
I was kind of organizing it kind of in a sense of like starting from like simple like kind of like observations and then going into more like deep kind of themes. So in paring this initial kind of project down, I definitely still wanted to touch on like the three main themes that I put, like of faith, identity, and just like neurological diversity, which
Hmm.
it's kind of what I write in general.
This is a lot. Not to say don't do it. This is a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I
Um, is there a progression? Is there a? I'm trying to see how are we from an organizational standpoint and a thematic standpoint. The more unified we can be on this, I think the easier it's going to be. I don't know what type of market you're looking at, but like if you're submitting like contests or publications or things like that, in general, project-based things tend to be a little bit easier. That's not to say they have to be, but as you're doing that pare down, I would say, hey, is there any sort of like narrative thread? Is there any sort of uh, is there anything that's really tying these things together as much as possible? Okay, that's the thing. As you're trying to get down to 30 pages, that's what I would really be asking myself. Like if you find that you get like 30 pages of work that are really focused on that, like that neurological diversity, and then a couple of other poems touching on the other stuff. But you're like, you know what? Most of the poems are doing this. Fewer of the poems are doing this. You might want to consider leaning more into the neurological diversity, potentially. Okay. Oh my gosh, Sierra's like sending us through all the dimensions. This is great. All right, Sierra, we good? Not good?
Yeah, I have a 2-year-old toddler, so.
You do what you gotta do, Mom. I got you. Um,
But yeah,
okay.
I'm ready.
So Sierra, you just heard me talking to Noah about his project.
Yeah.
What we got going on, sis?
Um. Well, I have at least 50. I would say I have a good solid 10 poems together.
How long are the poems?
No longer than 20 lines. They're kind of like sonnets.
Are they sonnets or are they kind of like sonnets?
Some of them are sonnets, and then some of them aren't.
Sonnets and not sonnets.
Yeah.
Are the ones that aren't sonnets almost sonnets?
Yeah. They're only like, I would say 5 lines over.
Okay. Is there any specific form that they're following?
I don't know. I kind of wrote them in a unique form, kind of. But I'm not. I don't know. I haven't thought of that.
Okay. The reason that this is important from from a project standpoint. If it's a collection of sonnets and like you could even call it like off sonnets or things like that, if it's close enough to what a sonnet form is, you know what I mean? But that's something you have more familiarity with the work than I do. But is again kind of like what I was talking about with Noah from a project-based perspective. What are some things that I can group together for like imagine the next step when the collection's done and I'm telling people I have this book. If I just say, oh, it's a bunch of poems about this, versus, oh, it's a bunch of poems about this. This is the
Oh.
thing, the one thing.
Oh, well, then I basically grief then, and you know, is that what you were asking?
Potentially. So imagine, and I'm not saying do this, but so you have these poems that are sonnets, and then you have these other poems that are almost sonnets. You know, if you were to structure that strategically to be like, grief is this mixture of with grief it's hard because one minute you feel fine, then the next minute you're like a wreck, and then the next minute you're fighting. It's just these constant waves. So like, for instance, potentially like staggering it, right? Like sometimes having the form that's really solid and clear, versus other times there's the breakdown, right? Where maybe it's shorter, maybe it's longer, and kind of playing with those like emotional phases as well, just to form. Um, But regardless, let's talk a little bit about length. Okay, so you have 10 poems, sonnets, not sonnets, centered around grief. Um, so how long would you like your chapbook to be?
Um, I was thinking around the same like goal, kind of 30, 20, like 25 maybe poems, maybe, or maybe even 20.
Okay. And you said you have about 10 right now?
Yeah, and
Okay.
then I have like pictures and paintings that kind of line with them too. But yeah,
Okay. Do you want the paintings and the pictures in the collection or no?
yeah.
Okay. So you could do it's like kind of like a mixed media project. Do you think with the 10 poems and then how many pictures or paintings are you looking at?
I have a lot, so probably around. I have a good 5 paintings right now, and
Okay.
then
So like
probably not that many pictures.
okay, so if we're thinking about length for the collection, you already have then maybe like 15 pages,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a little light on poems. I'd like a few more poems. Um, there's also micro chaps, by the way. You don't have to do a full chapbook length. Again, chapbook length, it's like 20, 25, 30, a little long, but
Mm.
there's micro chaps that are also shorter.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Um, I would say by the end of these 2 weeks, I would like for you to have at least 2 more poems.
Okay.
Do you think you can do that? Do you have time?
Yeah.
Where do we want these chapbooks to go? Traditional publishing, self-publishing, ebook, audiobook? What are we wanting?
Um, I would say ebook.
Okay.
Yeah, and then maybe hard copy too.
Self-publishing or traditional?
Mm,
I'd say I'm still kind of figuring that out. Like I had, like at AWP, I kind of like had encounter with multiple different like
Right.
small like publishers who I'm like, who knows, maybe I might want to see if they'd be interested in.
Okay.
And then I also have a friend who went through the route of self-publishing. So
One thing I will say, and you need to check with publishers on this. This is another thing I'd like you to check, Noah. Um, check to see the publishers you're interested in that you talk to. Check to see how many printed copies is too many to be considered for publication. Because sometimes if you do a self-published run, but it's less than like 50 copies or less than 500 copies, they'll still consider you for their contest. Just to know, or for their submissions. Some places are like, no, self-published, no, I'm not taking it at all. But some of them are like, oh, well, you don't even do much with it on your own. So um, that could be something worth looking into. And if that is the case, then we can explore self-publishing. When I'm thinking self-publishing, I'm thinking KDP through Amazon. So that way you could have your own copy of your book and then do what you want with it. This is also a great opportunity, Noah, to reach out to the editors and send them a message. Be like, hey, I'm considering self-publishing. I wanted to see how many copies I could do on my own, if that's okay with you guys, before I submit to you. And that way you can start getting to know the editors better. So you start networking, because networking is a big thing in any industry. In our 2 weeks, I don't know if we'll necessarily have time to review every single poem from everybody, but one goal I would like us to have is I'm particularly interested in opening poems and closing poems. We got to start strong, we got to end strong. So one of the things we might dedicate a day to each of us to try to identify, okay, what are the strongest 2 poems that we brought, you know, and also trying to identify our weak links that we need to take out. So that's kind of next steps once we do that. We'll probably be aiming for that like Friday, Saturday. Um, some other things to be thinking about: the communities that you think your collection speaks to. Okay, so like for instance, Noah, you spoke about faith identity, neurodivergence, and things like that. How involved are you in those communities?
yeah, so I'm actually trying to make. So I'm very much involved in um like faith-based communities. I'm actually trying to start a neurodiversity focused student group on campus. Right now, I'm in the process of just trying to get it started.
Yeah.
There's a couple different things, but I've gotten some, I've been gauging interest, and
Okay.
there's stuff has come along. So
Okay. Cool. Sierra, how about for you?
I guess it kind of because I'm starting like a holistic healing type of thing. I yeah, because I'm teaching like holistic arts, so I guess it kind of shapes like what I'm going towards for my chapbook. I guess
Okay.
like
Yeah.
grief more so like lesson
Yeah.
learned, life lessons kind of.
Okay. Got you. Okay.
So yeah.
All right. I want us to be thinking about these communities that our collection speaks to,
Yeah.
because our book, what we're creating, could be an asset, something that really helps those people. Okay.
Yeah.
Find ways to tie it in. Okay.